Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Thursday with Wartilyo. I am Lance, and I'm your host. And today I am honored to be joined by the current reigning Wartilyo Grand Champion, Dennis David.
Hey.
Okay. So for tonight's program, I'm going to be talking to Dennis, and he will take us through um, a journey on how he planned his list on each of the rounds and what the future holds for this new battle tome that, that just actually came out and rocked the world. So, all right, let's go on to the first slide. Okay, Dennis. So first off, how how, how is it feeling? Like it's so. How do you feel? Like it's been like 4 days since the event. Have you gotten enough sleep yet?
Mhm. Oh yeah. I've probably been in like post Wartilyo tournament comatose.
Comatose. Did you take Monday off or something?
Oh no, no. I went
No.
back
Oh,
to work. Yeah.
oh damn. That's hardcore.
No, it's fine. I work from home, so
Yeah.
I
Plus,
get rest whenever I need. So
yeah, that's fair. Plus, it's your first like. Well, it's a lot of people's first five round tournament.
Mhm.
Uh,
Yeah.
what do you think of that? Do you think that? Yeah. How do you feel about the 5 round experience? I guess.
Wow. Definitely fulfilling for sure. But it's also tiring. Like um, most of the time you're just standing over the tables and moving stuff around. So there's
Yeah.
definitely time to rest, like in between the rounds. But even then, you're still just kind of going around and talking to other people. Um, yeah, it's all part of the experience. But yeah, it's all fun and yeah,
Yeah. All right. That's fair. So I guess to get things kicked off, let's talk about your list. So,
sure.
when you sent us, you were actually the last person to send us a list because I think you were still tweaking everything until the last moment.
Yeah.
So,
Uh, yeah.
like, I saw one of
So
your
yeah.
practice games. You had a
Mhm,
help with
mhm.
abomination and everything.
Oh yeah. Um,
Sorry, but you were saying so. Take us through this journey and why you decided to go with this.
yeah. Okay. So the deadline for the list for the Wartilyo Gaming Tournament was like a week after the Skaven book came out. I think that was,
Two.
and
Yeah.
I basically agonized over every little thing in the list. Um, so I had this practice game against RC, although that was an introductory game. No, I tried
Sure.
out the new battle trait things, but I decided I should just stick with what I already know. So here it is, with just some minor tweaks that I hoped would uh, come to fruition, but I don't think it did as much as I wanted to do.
Really? Okay.
Yeah.
Tell us about it. What were
Yeah.
you?
So
Yeah. Go on.
yeah. So let's start with the core and the heart of the army, which is the reinforced storm fiends. So that's 960 points of shooting goodness.
for for people who are watching who are not as familiar with Age of Sigmar, this is actually very unusual. The way Dennis constructed this list, all the eggs, like half of
In
the
one
eggs were
basket.
in one basket.
Yeah.
And
This
seeing
costs a lot more than like the biggest models in the game. So
yeah, seeing a unit that's 960 points is bizarre and terrifying. But yeah, but you went with it anyway.
yeah. The nine Storm Fiends list has been making waves for the past like 2 or 3 months, I think, in the US with the
Right.
Anthony Trentanelli's list. But that one was still using the old book, which had
Right.
limited capabilities in terms of the battle lines and all that. But almost the same in terms of the Storm Fiends didn't change as much. So that's really good for me at least. So yeah, that's 960 points, 57 wounds, or like the HP of the whole unit.
So gross.
So you have to do like 57 damage to it before it gets destroyed. And given that large bulk of the unit also gives me like a chance to get get some of them back later and on in the game when some of them die. So, and that happened quite a few times throughout the game.
I saw that disgusting two Stormfiend rally in the last in the last
Oh
round.
yeah,
That was gross.
it was brutal. Yeah, but
It
they
was.
died
Or
anyway because Ollie is a great player.
yeah, we'll talk
Okay,
about
so
that later. Actually, yeah.
all right, so that's nine Storm Fiends. Six of them have the long range shooting attacks, which can be which combos well with my leaders, which we'll talk about later. But
Sure.
basically, I can do like a lot of damage in one shooting phase. Yeah, from far away too. My range is at 24 inches, which is like
Hmm.
almost half the map, and the other one's 12 inches, which is like fine, but I can guarantee getting in place in range of my shooting weapons with the teleports that I have.
Right.
So yeah, yeah, and I have some melee options if my opponents decided to come at me, um, which I think they were pretty effective, but most of the time they were dead, so I didn't get to
Okay.
use them as much.
So you went with two other battle line. You went with Clan Rats and Storm Vermin.
Mhm.
Why did you choose to get Storm Vermin instead of a second unit of Clan Rats?
Okay, so the Storm Vermin has this ability that they could um, be bodyguards for my other leaders. So on a 4 plus, they take the damage instead of a leader that's within 3. And if it's the Warbringer that they're bodyguarding, they do it on a 2 plus, which means if I roll a die, if I get a 2 higher than 2 or equal to 2, they take the damage instead. So I was hoping that um, some of my leaders would be safer from like long range attacks, or like if they got up close, I would be able to save them from more damage that way. So that's the idea
Okay.
behind the Storm Vermin.
Okay,
And the
so
Clan
Storm Vermin are
Rats, yeah.
essentially a bodyguard for your lords,
Hmm.
for the Vermin Lord, I guess. And the
Yeah.
Clan Rats are essentially just a screen for your Storm Fiends most of the time.
Yes, most of the time they're just
Okay.
there to die, unfortunately.
No, it's okay. That's Skaven. Life is cheap. That's it's part of your lore. You're
Yeah.
being in character. Um uh so tell me about your leader units. What made you choose that artifact, and why was Vermin Lord Warbringer your general as opposed to something else? Are the command traits in the new book more suited toward having a monster general with a command trait? Is that how it works?
Right. So with the new book, they basically gave us a pretty nice array of command traits and artifacts to give to the Vermin Lords. So with this one, I went with the Warbringer, which is pretty pretty dangerous up close without any buffs, because he can give himself a +1 to hit and to wound, so that gives him like gets him to twos and twos on a rend 2
Uh,
with 3 damage with flaming weapon. So
Is that a war
that's
scroll
quite a lot of
ability?
damage. Yeah, that's a war scroll ability. That's a
Oh,
command ability that he can give to a Verminous unit.
including himself. That's really
Yeah,
interesting.
including himself. Yeah.
Okay. So
And
yeah.
that's with 6 attacks, and then he has another attack that if I roll a 6 on a to hit roll, that basically takes the damage from 3 to 6. So that's another rend 2 with 6 damage, possibly.
Right. So I also noticed that in terms of spells, you had some redundancy here. You had more war power and more of more war power
Yeah.
for your Arch
So
Warlock and your Warlock Engineer.
yeah,
So
for
what does this spell do?
yeah, for this list, it's basically an auto take.
Sure.
I have to take like maybe 2 engineers or an arch warlock or an engineer just to have that uh, assurance that when one leader dies, the other survives and can still do the more warp power. What that does is it basically buffs my storm fiends even more. So
Do tell.
they're shooting on 3s and 3s as a default, and 4s and 3s for the other missile weapon.
Right.
And when I use the more warp power, it gets them up to 2s and 2s and then 3s and 2s. So that's basically guaranteeing that almost all of my shooting will hit the target.
Okay.
But
That's
there's a
fair.
drawback to this. So like in the next turn that I take, the Storm Fiend's unit will take D3 mortal wounds. So that's not a big deal in terms of like they have 57 wounds, so it's a really good trade in terms of the output that I get.
Yeah. No, for sure. D3 is like nothing if all is
Mm,
according to plan. But the
mm,
moment the storm fees start taking pressure, that's when that D3 starts to pile up a bit.
that's true. Yeah.
I
So
so
actually, yeah, we'll talk about
yeah,
this later. But in all honesty, I think I just casted this spell like once per game. I think
once
that's
per
what
game.
yeah, that was the maximum that, or maybe I did like twice for like one game. But
Okay.
yeah.
How
Anyway, yeah.
Yeah, so next let's talk about your endless spells and invocations. You got Soul Screen Bridge and Umbral Spell Portal. That's 140 points in endless spells. Do you think these choices paid off? Or what?
Um,
Sorry, before we do that,
right.
what was going through your mind when you chose Spell Portal? What spell did you need to throw across the battlefield on turn one? And yeah, and Soul Screen Bridge is essentially a redundancy to your pits, right?
Yeah. So the thing with Spell Portal was that I have an Arch Warlock.
Sure.
He has this War Scroll spell that deals D3 mortal wounds to D3 units, but I can overcharge it, which is dangerous for the Arch Warlock if it gets unbound or like
Right.
if he doesn't cast the spell successfully.
Right.
If I do cast it successfully, it deals D6 mortal wounds instead to D3 units.
Right. What's the range?
That's 13. So I can
Oh,
basically try and snipe some weaker leaders from afar, hopefully.
okay. All
And
right, it's really interesting.
yeah, and for the old book, for the old GHB anyway, you can use the spell portal to increase the range of your other endless spells.
Yeah,
That's not the case now with the new GHB, but essentially I have a Soul Scream bridge that can do like a 36-inch range.
yeah.
Um, yeah,
I
teleport.
I basically saw you using that as a midfield warpstone pit, right? I saw you
Mm,
and I was watching your game with Migs and I saw your Storm Fiends basically teleport from one side of the map to the other and
yeah,
to start burning objectives in Feral Foray. That
yeah.
was actually insane. Before that game, I had never seen Soul Scream Bridge, like
Mm,
ever.
right,
So uh what made you rely on that? Because I normally don't see Skaven bring Soul Screen Bridge. I normally see them rely on the
right.
pits. What was there something in your playtesting that made you feel like Soul Screen Bridge was an optimal choice in the current landscape?
Right. So instead of using the no holes are
Or
pretty
no?
restrictive that because well both are restrictive now, but the no holes are kind of restrictive that in the sense that you have to put them on the edge of the battlefield. Um, so that kind of restricts the actual range of what I can reach with my shooting, right? So with a bridge, I can just put my storm fiends in the middle and just teleport them in the same way. It's like just moving them farther with with a bridge, and they're still in the same formation, so that I can reach everything else that I wanted them to reach.
So
So yeah,
well also JL Torre in the chat saying kudos to the champ.
thank you.
Yeah. This okay. So all right. So I'm getting an idea of your philosophy of basically having a moving bunker of death.
Hmm,
Like
hmm.
basically flinging storm fiends around after maybe your clan rats get disintegrated on the charge or
Yep.
something.
Yeah.
So
So
that
sorry,
sorry, you first.
can I add something? So
No, of course, please.
the the idea with the Warbringer is that so he has this artifact called Warpstone Charm, which does which has this ability. Um, all units within 3 inches of the Warbringer get a -1 to save. That's basically an additional rend to everything around it.
It's like a super purple sun. Or
Yeah,
second purple sun rather.
yeah,
Or
that's
current
true.
meta, I guess.
So
Wow.
so the idea was to pin something because the Warbringer has Verminous Valor, which means it can make another friendly unit
Right.
bodyguard for him. So the idea is to um, whatever I needed to shoot, I can maybe bring in the Warbringer, get it up close, and then shoot that enemy unit.
Right.
with an extra rend. But in practice, it only happened like once during during the whole tournament. Um, it was a good idea, but
Mhm.
the Warbringer was maybe either it got melted first, even before it did anything, or it was maybe too far away to be able to um, deal the extra rend to the enemy units.
That's fair.
So yeah. Mm,
It sounds like your army. When looking at this just now and watching the army at play, it seemed like the army had ridiculously good movement options, but not you couldn't bring the entire army around at the
yeah.
same time.
Hmm,
So I
hmm.
noticed that you had to use the Soul Scream Bridge to bring the Storm Fiends on one side, and then use the gnaw holes to maybe bring, let's say, an engineer or a warlock to give them the
Yeah.
buff.
Yep. That's true.
Okay. All right. Let's talk about your list is Battle Regiment. How relevant was Battle Regiment in your games?
Yeah. So if we look at the lists later on, no, we'll see that none of the other armies that I faced had mm, fewer than
Had a one
two
drop.
drops. Yeah. So
Yeah.
that essentially gave me the chance to say, "Oh, you go first," or "Oh, I go first." So, which is
Right.
a very big deal with this kind of army, that's essentially like an alpha shooting army, if you could
Yeah.
categorize it categorize it
No,
like that. Yeah.
it absolutely is. I think this army that was, you said the soul of the army was built by Anthony. I think that this army is actually built to counter the monster meta.
Mm,
It's extremely looking at the list by itself, it looks
right.
extremely good at killing big Death Star or opponents with who have like,
That's true.
key units, right? It's not very good at dealing with something that throws everything at you at the same time.
Yeah, and we'll see that later
We'll
on in
see that
the
later. It's
yeah.
actually kind of hilarious.
Yeah.
But before we move on, very quickly, if the new book didn't come out, how
Right.
would this list have been different?
Okay, so the old book was, how would I say it? Very restrictive in terms of list building. So if you wanted like the Storm Fiends to be battle line, right now the Storm Fiends are battle line if you just take one Scryer leader, which is by taking the Arch Warlock, they become battle line immediately. That's
Right.
by choice though, so I have the
Okay.
option. But before, if you wanted the Storm Fiends to be battle line and reinforce them to like to get the 9 Storm Fiend list,
Right.
um, you had to take um every unit in your list must be Scryer.
Right.
That or uh, that's not an or. And if your leader or general was a master clan or a scryer general, which is very confusing. There are actually videos on YouTube that describe how how the battle line works in Skaven in the old book, which tells you a lot how about how confusing it got. So
Okay. That's
so
fair.
instead of the clan rats, you'll probably have like um, a measly line of 5 Scryer acolytes, 2 measly lines. So that's 10 units that don't do well when in screening. So
No,
um,
they do not. They do not have the volume or the wingspan at all. It's kind of ridiculous.
yeah. So with clan rats, I can maybe just put them in a conga line and have like a long line of rats just waiting to die.
Abusing that
Yeah,
25 base.
yeah.
No, that's absolutely. And the grand strategy also says everything. Your game plan revolves
Mm,
around your battle line, your storm fiends. And
that's
if they
true.
die, basically it means that you prioritize their survival over the survival of your vermin lords, your arch
That's
warlock,
true.
your warlock engineer.
Yes.
And yeah, it's really interesting. The grand strategy is a very subtle list addition, but if the player is mindful of the list, it kind of reveals something about their game
Mhm.
plan.
Yeah,
And this was very obvious because half the eggs are in one basket. But let's
yeah.
go on.
And
Uh,
there's one
yeah.
game that the Storm Fiends died, and we'll go into that game later. But yeah,
Oh
that
man,
was
that was very
very
dramatic.
scary for me. Yeah,
I thought you had lost. You would have. I actually felt that it
yeah,
was an uphill battle for you, but you
yeah.
pulled it out of your ass, which is kind of nice. So for people who weren't at the event and are watching it live for the first time, here we have a picture of Dennis's Storm Storm Fiend and Friends army.
Mm-hmm.
and accompanied by the Hellfort that was generously lent to us
Yeah,
by Liam and RJ.
some good looking terrain in the tournament.
Yeah, no, I felt that table one and round four, right before Armies of Parade, should have really gorgeous terrain to go with it. So yeah. All right, so this is the army. Look at it. It looks really small. All that wound density, like 50% of the wounds are all in that tiny little block in the center, full of giant rat freaks controlled by rat fetuses, man. So yeah. All
Oh
right,
yeah, I remember you telling me when you first saw the Stormfeed models that you hated everything about it.
dude. Everything about them was so weird. I only played against like I think when I played against you, was it the old book or the new book? It was the old book, right?
Yeah, it was the old book.
All right. I guess I'm gonna look for a rematch. I guess it's gonna be scary. Let's see. So um all right, so this is the list, and we will now go to round one. In round one, the mission was First Blood, and his opponent was J.L. Torre, who brought a Slaves to Darkness list, and whose grand strategy is Prize Sorcery. He is led by Archie himself, the ever chosen, with a Mark of Slanesh because he wants to have more certainty in charging, and he is flanked by the Varan Guard, who also have the Mark of Slanesh. He has a Chaos Lord and a Chaos Sorcerer who are very good at stacking buffs, with a Chaos Warrior unit of Nurgle and a Chaos Marauder Horseman unit. He prioritized Hunters of the Heartland and had Command Entourage Strategist, most likely because Strategist allows him to more easily use the Eye ability of Archeon. For those who are just watching us now, Archeon has a unique ability. In the command phase, in his command phase, he gets to roll a die on a, and then he gets to see who takes the turn right after. So when you first found out that your round one was against Archie himself, how did you feel?
I actually don't have any experience playing against Archeon, so
Right.
that was a bit of a wild ride for me.
Uh, do tell though. So how
Yeah,
was your
so
first game
yeah.
against what was your mentality going to Slaves of Darkness?
Okay, so when he was explaining the composition of his army, um, I could see that Archeon was maybe the biggest deal of all of them, and maybe the Varan guards were next.
Right.
Um, and he had these two leaders, the Chaos Lord and the Chaos Sorcerer Lord, that
Right.
basically buffed Archeon to the max. Archeon was like saving on one or one. I think that
Yeah.
was once,
No,
yeah.
for sure.
And he can fight twice. Like I was pretty
So
scared of the um what do you call that weapon? The Slayer of
Slayer
Kings.
of Kings, yeah.
Yeah,
Uh,
and being able to slay a leader instantaneously and getting to fight with it twice is pretty scary, especially for my list.
why
Um,
would it be scary for your list? Because I actually feel like I'll say, why would it be scary for your list? What do you think Archeon would do to your list?
right. So if you don't have any experience fighting the Storm Fiends list, the leaders are basically saying the Arch Warlock and the Engineer are basically saying kill us first. That's
Right.
because not only do they buff my Storm Fiends to be twos and twos and shooting, but they also add to the damage of the Storm Fiends while shooting. So that's a plus one. Um, so if you kill them, the output of the Storm Fiends will basically be almost halved, I would say.
Right.
Um, yeah.
It would be because of the double damage it gives the Storm Fiends, right? So
Mm,
it's literally half.
yeah. Yes. So um, yeah, and the fact that he can teleport any of these units and just charge, right? He can reroll charges if I recall correctly. That's a mark of
Yeah.
Slanesh, right? Yeah. So
Yes, with the Mark of
he can
Slanesh, if they're
teleport.
within 12 of
Yeah,
Archeon.
he can teleport behind my ranks and just charge my generals and just kill them then and there. So that was a
So
scary thought.
absolutely. So what was your strategy for this game?
Okay, so the map we played, I think it was in the Ice World, the
Yes, it
table one,
was.
yeah.
Yep.
And I saw that the center objective had this like square
Yeah.
terrain there that I could just squeeze my Storm Fiends into and basically hold the fort there. Um, But in the beginning, so I let him take the first turn because he's definitely a melee army,
Right.
and I let him move around the board, and I could just pick and choose whichever target I wanted to. And I did. I killed his two small leaders first in order to debuff the Archaeon. But
It-
um,
Okay.
curious thing with this game is that Archeon kind of just held back, I guess.
Okay.
Didn't charge until it was like third round, if I recall correctly, when
Four.
he was fourth round. It was the fourth
Yeah,
round.
it was fourth round. I was
Yeah,
watching.
so yeah, so it was only until he wanted to kill my general that he charged Archeon, which was, I would say, a bit too late because
I
all of his army was gone by that time.
I saw that you redeployed 6 inches with your Vermin Lord, and
Yeah.
JL Torres in the chat right now
Oh
reminding
yeah.
us that he failed this. He was unlucky with dice rolls for charging. He
Yeah.
also says it was a good game.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a good game too. Um, yeah, so the Vanguard are very, very deadly. They almost killed my general when they charged it, and yeah, pretty
Yeah,
scary.
actually, I was telling JL while we were waiting in the parking lot, this list that he brought is going to be super deadly next GHB.
Yes.
Vanguard with Bounty Hunter is
Mm-hmm.
not a joke.
Oh yeah, yeah,
No, no, no. That is like for me the little push they need for them to go absolutely stellar. I can't wait to see more of JL Torre in the next season. I
yeah.
think Slaves Darkness with the spell shield and the current endless spell
Right.
meta has a lot of potential. But in a way, it was really it's good that you were able to take advantage of the terrain and bunker up in the center. Um, I think if you have a low, if you have your army is fairly small, it's tough to play first blood or any mission that forces you to spread out quite a
Mm,
lot.
mm.
Did you see yourself controlling half the map, or did you spread out like all over?
Yeah. So what I did was I basically just threw my clan rats to the left objective, and and all of my units just went to the center and
Or
the
right?
right one. Yeah.
Okay, fair.
And he killed almost immediately he killed the clan rats.
Yeah, and to my understanding, you got bottom of third, so you burned the objective on your left.
Yeah. Yeah.
And the thing is, it wasn't even a choice because Archie was the one saying you get first or you get second. Like you
Yes.
guys didn't even roll off. So
Mm.
that was kind of interesting too. So yeah,
Yeah, that ability. What do you call that ability again? Sorry.
the Eye of Ed Sheeran, as people say. Yeah,
Right. That was interesting. I actually don't know what to feel about it. Maybe, hmm, as the opposing player, right? But
yeah,
uh, yeah,
that's fair.
maybe
I think
maybe a bit.
that
I'm not sure if it's like maybe a bit gimmicky. Maybe I don't know.
it's really good. I think that when you are playing with Archie, it's very hard not to telegraph that like I know
Right.
who's going next. So if you see
Mm.
the opponent getting super aggressive, it's pretty
Yeah.
obvious and
Yeah.
sussy, right? Like what they're gonna
That's true.
do. Yeah, so it's kind of funny and interesting. I think that Slaves to Darkness is one of those very high floor armies. Um, if Iron Jaws is one of the easier armies to pick up, I think Slaves is one of the toughest armies to pick up.
Got so many rules.
It's got so many rules and it's so hard to draw value out of them. So kudos to JL for bringing this army. Can't wait to see him grow more as a player and like come back for more tournaments and stuff.
Yeah.
All right, so let's go on to round two. Sons of Behemoth. So this
Ooh.
was a list brought by the legendary Miguel Alegre. He brought the Breaker tribe with Bossy Pants and Clever Cog, which makes him very good against heroes and wizards. I'm sorry, yeah, against heroes and wizards, I believe. His grand strategy is to no one's surprise Beastmaster. His triumph is bloodthirsty, and he has a triumph bid of 1940, which means that one of the things that's very important to him is the consistency of charging. Um, I also kind of saw this in the way Miguel would play his games. He likes to spread his Gargants out in waves. He doesn't like throwing them all at the same time. He's led by Kragnos and co-led by a general, the Gatebreaker and Mega Gargant, with Old and Gnarly, which lets him reroll ones to save, an
Hmm.
Amulet of Destiny, which gives him a 6+ ward save,
Yeah.
another Enchanted Portcullis, which gives him a 6+ ward save, and a tiny Man Crusher Gargant who's there to soak up Unleash Hell and die for everyone else.
Right.
So tell me about your game with this. This wasn't Feral Foray. It was six objectives.
Yeah, so um, Feral Foray is really tricky.
Yes.
Um, so this battle plan is where you get to burn objectives and you get an extra point from it, which kind of tells you that you should do it, but actually maybe not. So this is also my first game ever with Sons of Behemoth, and
Oh, okay.
yeah, yeah. In the definitely in this version of the GHB, they're basically scoring at will, right?
Pretty
Um,
much.
yeah, uh, and the the advantage I had was that I had shooting.
Right.
So again, with my battle regiment, I let him take first turn. He basically ran everything up the map except Kragnos,
Yes.
who just stayed behind in the back line.
Right.
As you said, like he wanted like waves of the giants.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I deployed my clan rats such that my my storm feeds were just behind it, 3 inches away, so they won't get tagged when something charged,
Right.
and I get to pick and choose whatever I want to shoot the next turn. So um, I'm not sure if it was a first round that he charged immediately. I don't think so. He moved. I think he just moved and like, scored a lot with
Yeah.
the
On
giants.
turn one, he did ferocious advance, so he
Yeah.
didn't charge you.
Okay. All right. So yeah. I did quite a lot of damage to the non-general Mega Gargant.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they have like 4 ups to save, which makes them pretty squishy for my Rend 3 shooting.
Yes.
Um, and the volume of damage that I can do with the rattling guns. Um, yeah, so I almost killed it, but I didn't, which meant that he was able to charge with it the next turn. But not before I killed the tiny Gargant
No,
in
for
Unleash
yeah.
Hell, which was
Yeah, that thing is
the yeah.
literally just there to die.
So yeah, there was one thing. Yeah, he couldn't charge behind my front line because apparently he could only fly when he made a normal move, retreat
Mm.
or like yeah.
Yeah. So for people
Mm,
who aren't familiar, the ability is called Longshanks. It allows giants to the Mega Gargants to walk over terrain and other models if they're going to make a normal move, a run, or a retreat.
right,
Not charges though in other form, unless they were given flying by a spell like Levitate.
right. So he had the idea of charging me, and going straight into the back of my army and try and conquer.
Yeah.
But unfortunately, because my clan rats basically stopped him from doing so, uh,
Right.
he wasn't able
You
to get that uh, objective.
yeah, I
Um,
feel like you did your Vermin Lord die early in this fight? I feel like he kinda did.
he died when Kragnos decided to charge.
Of course.
So Kragnos charged my Warbringer and did 20 mortal wounds with the impact
Uh
hits.
Yeah. One of the things I noticed if I was looking at your battle tactic placement, you did ferocious advance and savage. You did savage spearhead by turn three, and because objectives were getting burned left and right, and there's no way in hell you would pry an objective off of a mega gargant. It sounded like you were burning a lot of your passive battle tactics early
Mm,
on,
yeah,
and I noticed that you struggled to find a battle tactic late in the game that wasn't just super ballsy or dangerous.
yeah. I think I was left with like bring it down or something like that.
You had broken
Or
ranks and
yeah,
Slay the Warlord left.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Slay the Warlord, which was I think I was able to do that. Or maybe not.
Yeah. Um,
I don't recall
you
as
you
much.
did succeed in Slay the Warlord. I remember you used Soul Scream Bridge or to throw your Storm Fiends across the map, and you went all in on the guts giant,
Right. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and then you had to survive a Kragnos charge, or else you failed
Mm,
hold the line and you would have lost.
mm. Yeah. I did this janky move by um basically the storm fiends were pretty far from the no holes where I could be in range of shooting, where I could shoot the Mega Gargant with all of my missile weapons. So I
Yeah.
did this weird janky thing of teleporting my storm fiends with the Soul Scream Bridge in front of the no hole, so I could teleport them back to the other no hole. Which was
Yeah.
the first time I ever did that, and it was
It
weird.
was kind of nuts. It was actually really brilliant. I had never seen that in my entire life. It was nuts. But like, um, so the game was really close. Did you feel very
Mm.
nervous after that game?
Oh, oh yeah. Um, I was not able to count the fact that they they could only run like 10 or 12 inches, I think, and
Yeah.
they couldn't reach the other objectives that I had. So I think I kind of panicked there and burned one objective instead of like keeping most of them.
I know. I'm on top.
Um,
Sorry, go.
so yeah.
Okay. Sorry, I was making lips because my wife just walked by.
Oh,
Anyways, that's I wasn't making a move on Dennis. Dennis, if you're watching Dennis's wife, don't worry about it. So yeah. Anyways, let's go on to actually this was kind of nuts because it was a grand strat win more or less because you had to
mm,
survive Kragnos charging the Storm Fiends. How many
hmm.
Storm Fiends were left? Would you have to
I think
remember
that
like
was like
one or two?
I honestly don't recall.
It's okay.
Maybe one or two or like three, maybe.
So you had the privilege of facing against a fully buffed Sons of Behemoth army at their prime. There was no the hunt that gave 2 extra points in killing a Mega Gargant.
Oh yeah.
And these were basically the kings of the previous edition that we'll never see again. How do you feel playing against four models?
um, it was jarring. It was scary. This was one of the armies that I had. If I had to choose which one was the most scary for me, it's probably this one.
Okay,
Um, I'm not sure if it's just my gonna because I haven't played with all of the armies in the
that's fine.
tournament, but
Yeah.
looking at it face value, it's probably the scariest one of all.
You'd be an idiot not to be scared. 10
Yeah.
attacks, 4 stat, 3 to wound, rend 3, 4 damage apiece.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's
I
not
basically
nothing to laugh at.
yeah, I basically ignored Kragnos the whole game and tried to
Yeah.
kill the other Gargants for yeah.
That's fair. So, that being said, um, Miguel is actually our runner-up. If you are in the chat, Miguel, congratulations as well. He scored
Congrats, man.
170 victory points, which
Oh,
means that
that's
in all five of his
that's a
games,
lot.
even though, yeah, it's nuts. Even though he didn't score a perfect game against you, Dennis, he scored beyond perfect game points on the totality of the tournament. In fact, in terms of raw tiebreakers alone, without wins and losses, Miguel is actually the highest scorer.
Yeah.
Yeah, this
Yeah.
I can't wait to see what he does next edition. He's going to be playing Daughters of Cain, I believe,
Ooh.
which I'm scared of. Seeing this caliber of player play Daughters of Cain and Sons of Behemoth. It's actually kind of nuts. So I'm
Yeah.
scared, but I'm looking forward to seeing more of him.
I played Sir Miggs one time using his Daughters of Cain.
Daughters. Yeah, how
Yeah.
was that experience?
I also used the Nine Storm Fiends list, so he's pretty familiar with the what it can do. Uh, but um, yeah, we were basically just kiting the whole map, waiting for someone to shoot. Uh,
Oh man, yeah, you
yeah,
guys are playing chicken.
yeah,
Okay,
that was
so
fun.
with
Yeah.
that, let's move on to round three. Round three, the opponent that Dennis had to face was at this point same undefeated after 2 rounds. Angelo Basa Mogul with his Seraphon army. He chose Starborn, which means that he gets to summon more dinosaurs on the battlefield, and he has Lord of Space and Time, which lets him teleports once per turn, which is kind of nutty. He is led by Lord Croak. I think this is Basa's favorite model. Like I remember playing him in a tournament, and this was his centerpiece then too. He has an Astrolith Bear with flaming weapons, which is very deceptive because this is actually a very, very Johnny kind of piece of tech. Um, it is he got the Arcane Tome so that Astrolith Bear can be on the Realm Shaper engine, and he could use the Realm Shaper engine to extend the 12-inch buff that the Astrolith Bearer would give. He didn't actually care about Flaming Weapon. It was very interesting. He
Yeah.
also brought the Saurus Scar Veteran and Carnosaur. which does very good against chaos, like armies like yours.
Mm-hmm.
He has Geminids, which is used against you, I believe, to stop
Yeah.
the Stormfiends from unleashing hell.
Mm-hmm.
And he also had Skinks, Saurus Warriors, and Saurus Guard, which basically, in my mind, served the same purpose as the Clan Rats and the Stormfiend to be
Yep.
bodyguards and chaff. And lastly, he had the infamous Salamander unit. Not lastly, but he also had infamous Salamander a reinforced unit that ran train through other armies by teleporting and unleashing like D3 mortal wounds every time he rolled a
Mm-hmm.
6 to hit or in
Yeah.
combat or outside of it. And lastly, the centerpiece of honestly, for me, the centerpiece of the tournament that is very unique is the Dread Saurian.
Yeah. If you
When you
saw
when, so
this Dread Saurian, yeah, you'd be
dude, when
pretty
you
scared of it.
came from a game with fucking Sons of Behemoth and then you realize you were fighting a bigger model after that,
Yeah.
how did you feel?
Oh, this is also my first game against Seraphon. Um, and I didn't know what the Dread Saurian can do, but given that it also had a 35 wound health and saving on force, I basically had like the confidence to try and deal with it because of the previous game.
Okay.
So
What was your game plan against Basa here?
okay, so here I let him also take the first turn. Basically, he kind of wanted to deal the mortal wounds to my army because of I think that was a spell, right? I
He
think
has several spells that do that.
yeah.
So Crook specifically has Comet's Call, which has an infinite
Mm,
range.
mm.
And he also has Deliverance, I believe it's called, though someone in the chat can probably correct me, where he
Yeah.
basically does a supernova attack up to 3 times, and it does more damage to Chaos Demons.
Yeah, that one, yeah. So
Yeah.
he basically ran up with most of his army except the Dread Saurian. He actually even Lord Croak um went forward and to try and maybe deal more damage to my fully chaos army. Uh,
Yeah. So, something I
so
noticed with Basa,
yeah.
he uses Croak as a hammer. It's
Mm.
actually very like I actually get it's actually pretty fucky in my mind seeing something that is basically a walking DPS check go around slapping you.
Yeah. Yeah, so the thing with Lord Croak is that somehow you can't ignore it, but
You cannot.
somehow if you if you can't if you have to deal damage to it, you have to deal enough damage to it to kill it because it will just, ignore everything, right? That's the end of each phase, right? The check that removes all of his damage.
Right. Yes, at the end of each phase. So if you don't have a way of dealing massive amounts of damage in a single
Hmm.
phase, which Skaven can do, it is really difficult to get rid of him. There are literally armies that cannot kill him.
Yeah. So the
It's kind
first
of
turn,
interesting. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
sorry.
No,
So
you
the
first.
first turn, I let him take the first turn, right? And
Right.
he did the salamander teleport thing,
Yes.
and he killed one storm fiend, and obviously I killed the melee one. Uh,
Yes.
and basically that was his turn. He dealt some mortal wounds to some of my units, and he cast Geminids, which I think that was on an extended range, so it almost reached my army during the first turn.
Right.
But during my turn, he made it so I wasn't able to dispel it because I forgot. uh,
Okay.
and
It'd
he
be like that sometime.
yeah, uh, and he was able to like tag a lot of my units with the Geminids, which prevented me from using or issuing commands, which was a big deal. Um,
Right.
so I teleported my own Storm Fiends and killed the Salamanders outright, and I also get to kill the the Carnosaur.
Hmm.
Yeah, so that was off the table almost immediately.
Yeah, I saw
Um,
it. Bring it down round two.
yeah, that was I got the double turn. So
Excuse me. Sorry, go on.
yes, yeah. So I shot the Carnosaur on on my first turn, and then I got to shoot it again in the second turn. So that was
Hmm.
gone. And then I basically ran my Warbringer forward and dealt with the smaller leaders, the banner guy, Astrolith Bearer. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah.
I got it off the his terrain. Um,
The
yeah.
Realm Shaper engine. I saw the
Mm-hmm.
Vermin Lord charge. I actually really liked this fight. There were like three lanes. It's like watching a League of
Mm.
Legends game.
Yeah.
On the right lane, it was Storm Fiends versus. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. I think I'm coming down with something. So, like on the right flank, there was Storm Fiends fighting the Dread Saurian. In the center field, there was the Vermin Lord fighting Lord Croak. And the left side, you had this very adorable fight between the slaves, the clan rats, and the
Yeah, and
Saurus
the
warriors. So
skinks.
it was like it was
Sorry.
like everyone was fighting their evil counterpart or something.
Yeah. Uh, so the thing with the Dread Saurian is that the base is too big in order
Yes.
for it to move around. Even with the teleport, he tried to teleport it, but it couldn't fit where he wanted it
Oh,
to go.
yeah.
So it was only during, I think that was the third round or the second round already when he got to move it, and he charged the Storm Fiends, which were able to deal with the damage that it. I'm surprised that it can't do as much as it should for the
Yeah.
size of the model.
Yeah, Dread Soren's very scary. I think that the potential of the model is in that if you give him the buffs or debuffs that have range abilities,
Right,
like the one that gives -1 to bravery, then the massive base is good. It's also
right.
amazing at blocking things. Because
True.
even if you kill it on the charge, the 3-inch pylon, it stops 3-inch pylons. It's just purely an anvil, though. It's
Mm,
100% not a hammer. I
yeah.
think that um the advantage of Starborn with Dread Saurian is you get to teleport it, but with it's in Thunder Lizards that it becomes like this super tanky son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Because
definitely.
yeah, because you get -1 to hit, -1 to damage on it, and that's 35 wounds, which
Oh yeah.
Seraphon has many chances to heal. So it's just a very interesting like kind of build that you had to face here.
Mm. Yeah, and I think the Dread Saurian is really good at tagging models that you don't
Mm,
want to fight,
yep.
right?
Yes.
So yeah, I charged with the Warbringer, um, and I was able to kill Croak. I think that was the fourth round, or that was that the third round.
Uh-huh.
Um, I basically dealt like 13 or 14 damage to it,
Oh, and he
and
had to roll 2d6, right?
yeah,
Oh,
uh,
that's always so painful to watch.
yeah. So he died, and my Warbringer was still healthy, so I basically just cleaned up everything after that.
Yeah, Croak is. I think Croak is this list's major hammer, and
Mm,
when Croak dies, it makes the game, and your Storm Fiends are still alive. It makes the game a little bit difficult for Basa to win.
mm, yeah.
Yeah, so this game seemed like it was settled in round 3. Congratulations, and then you had to go home and sleep. What was it like going home knowing that you're fighting Iron Jaws?
Oh, yeah, so I had my first Iron Jaws experience with you,
Ah,
and
yeah, I
you
remember that was
basically
fun. Sorry, yeah,
you wiped the board with me, uh, which gave me a lot of experience in terms of like how to deal with how fast the army goes and what damage it can deal. Although the next army didn't have like Kragnos, but
it did not.
um,
Yeah, so the army that I brought against you is not nearly as fast as John Michael. I also learned a lot watching John Michael play, actually.
right.
So John Michael Suzon, he is the general of the Orc War Clan and of the Orc War Clan army, the Iron Jaws army for this tournament. He brought Blood Tooths. His grand strategy was Wah, which means that he needs at least one battle line or his general in your territory. His triumph is bloodthirsty, meaning he prioritizes having that consistency with a relatively like kind of okay triumph bid at 1975 points. He has a Mega Boss on Maw Crusher with Mega Bossy, Destroyer, Fast One, and Riptooth Fist. He has 3 War Chanters, a Mega Boss on foot, 5 units of Gorgratas, and Auric Brutes. One of the things that I really loved watching John Michael do is he spreads his army on the battlefield like a freaking butterfly. Like, if you are an army that summons or teleports, it's very hard to find purchase in
Yeah.
the way that he spreads his army out. I think it's a masterclass in space denial, in space control.
Hmm.
And I noticed that what he did was he also spread around the areas near your gnaw holes early on.
Yep.
So
He
teleporting
did.
was very inconvenient. He actually, I was really surprised that he reached you with his Gore Gruntus on turn one.
Mm.
So,
So
what was
yeah,
the
we
experience like fighting this?
so we fortunately for me, or yeah, we played the Vice,
Yes.
which meant that the deployment zones are really far from each other. And yeah, given that I was Battle Regiment again, I let him take the first turn, which was pretty ballsy, if I should say. Uh,
Yes.
given that the speed of the army is like really fast. Um,
Absolutely.
so the thing with the Vice is that not only is it like um, you have to travel far in order to reach the other army, it's also um, uh, thinner, I guess. The space is like uh, you only have like 44 inches to work with, and given the terrain and the size of the models, actually the Gore Grantors are pretty big,
They
so
are.
they do take up a lot of space.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened was he activated his big Wa on
Mm-hmm.
his turn,
Right.
and I basically did the same deployment as I did with the Sons of Behemoth, which meant my clan rats were in just 3 inches in front of my storm fiends, and he basically charged with three Gore Gruntas and Mokrasha, but um, unfortunately the Gore Gruntas were big enough that he couldn't get his Mokrasha in.
Right.
So even with the charge of like 12 inches, he couldn't. Yeah, because the Mokrasha is also big. He
Yes.
wasn't able to squeeze anywhere near my army. So the Mokrasha was left there, and the pigs were left to charge. And he was only able to kill the unit of clan rats with that charge. So I think I was very, very fortunate that way. Um,
Yeah. I think. Yeah, I think you also got the double turn, right? From like bottom of
yeah.
one and the top of
hmm
two, which was very crucial in this matchup.
hmm So I killed one unit of Gorgruntas with the Unleash Hell from the
Yep.
Storm Fiends.
Yep.
So the other two, I cleaned up with my other units, and I kind of just with a double turn, I tried to kill Mokrasha, but he was rolling hot, and I basically left Mokrasha with one wound,
One
even
wound.
after charging with everything I had.
I saw that. It was
uh,
really ballsy to charge the Maw Crusher. Um, yeah, it was so ballsy because I thought that in failing to kill the Maw Crusher, you would probably bank on an Unleash Hell to at least punish him for trying.
yeah.
But you charged. That was really ballsy. It
Yeah,
was crazy.
I really wanted to get the battle tactic. I can't say if it was the soundest of ideas, but
It was a very wide. No, I don't think it's wrong. Okay,
yeah,
it
yeah.
means that you were confident in your Storm Fiends, and this was the risk you took.
Mm,
It's a very wide swing, though, especially since Finest Hour hadn't been activated yet.
that's true.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think that was the reason why. But in retrospect, I should have just kept. I shouldn't have just charged in with my storm fiends and saved me some um nervous
Well,
yeah.
actually, the fact that you guys survived the Destroyer, Violent Fury, Pump
Oh
Maw
yeah.
Crusher was pretty kind of. How was that? How many Storm Fiends died?
I think almost all of them died except like one, which was left at yeah, it was still at full health.
Yeah.
So even with the more warp power drawback, it would have been still alive. And I basically just retreated and killed. Yeah, that was after killing the Maw Crusher in
Yeah.
combat. And so
Yeah.
after that, it was the Warbringer charged, and that was it. I basically cleaned all of his other units after then.
I I also remember that when you charged the Maw Crusher, one of the awkward things was that your Storm Fiends made the charge, but your Warbringer didn't make the
Yeah.
charge initially. I was
Yeah.
like, oh man, that's the most awkward turtle shit I've ever seen. But it is what it is. You know, it worked out in the end, but it was so like for both of you, it was so weird when your
Yeah.
main hammer that just wants to get in just didn't make the charge, you know?
Yeah,
Oh,
so I
this is
had the
fun.
option of so that was a bit awkward for me because I didn't want him to redeploy because redeploying more than like 4 inches after the storm fiends moving meant that I couldn't shoot him with everything I had. And I wanted to. So I really had to do a 9-inch charge with 3 units. And I got in two,
Yeah,
which I guess is fortunate.
that's
But
fair.
yeah.
But yeah, other than that, you had consistent battle tactics all throughout the round, and I think that after round three, the game practically went in your way already.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So yeah,
Yeah,
good
so all of
game.
his
And
other yeah.
sorry first, you first. Sorry.
Yeah, so all of his other units tried to charge. I think the Orc Mega Boss charged in when I had the middle objective during the fourth round, but not a lot left on his side of the
Yeah,
battlefield. So
yeah, unfortunately, all that were left were the supports. The hammers were all gone.
hmm
And on the
yeah.
screen right now, I have John Michael's army, which won Best Painted
Oh
in the
yeah.
first ever WWT tournament. He got a 291 out of 300, which and one of
Nice.
the judges even gave him a perfect score, saying the army is
Awesome.
immaculate and had nothing wrong with it. Um,
Featuring real blood.
Real,
I'm kidding.
really,
I-
yeah, the top
I'm
knots are
kidding.
from Jan Michael's actual blood. And like, what they loved about this army, by the way, for people watching, is the consistency in the paint style. It's beautiful, it's fresh. You will never, I will wager my left nut that you will not see another orc army that looks like this and give this
hmm
vibe. The war, the the war chanter that sorry is being blocked by the spear in the center of the map that's basically pounding onto
The drum,
clubs
yeah.
the drums. That's what did I say, clubs. The drums is my favorite model in the entire tournament because it has so much personality, and I love kit bashes, and I hope that we see more kit
Right.
bashes in the future.
Don't let the
um
pigs fool you though. They look
yeah.
cute,
Oh,
but they're
oh man,
very
what do you
deadly.
think is cute? Oh no, they absolutely are. John Michael brought what I thought was one of the stronger Iron Jaws lists that people could come up with, and he had a great showing for it. He was 3-2 this whole tournament.
Mhm.
So yeah, congratulations to you for getting through that. However, and now we will go to your last opponent, Ollie Boldador. At
Ooh.
2,000 points, he's not even going for the triumph. At 9 drops, he does not care who goes first or second. He has an Achillean King, an Isharan Tidecaster, and a second Achillean King in the form of Volturnos, who, when they charge, the amount of damage that they do is you are dead. That is basically how
Yes.
much they do.
Yeah.
He got a Namarti Reaver and Thrall unit, um, which are basically screens. And he has an Ishlan Guard unit, a Morsar Guard unit that's reinforced. Kidarai Heartrender allies from the Daughters of Cain book, and Achillean Alopexes. I think the only thing about this list that I disagreed with, or I thought was a strange choice, I told Ollie this too, is the grand strategy.
Right.
Basically, he's holding the line, but the units in his army that are screens or are throwaways for Unleash Hell are also
Mm.
his battle line. So I noticed that among his score in the tournament, he only held the line once.
Right.
So in my mind, kind of an interesting choice. I think that we talked. He kind of agreed. I can't wait to see what else he cooks up though, because the guy is very good at making lists.
hmm
Anyways, very offensive list. Not a single hammer. He has many different ways to
Oh
come at
yeah.
you at many different sides. In this particular fight, though, it seems that you chose to take the first turn.
Yeah, so this is one of those this is the only game when I took the
Yeah,
first turn
I
because
I noticed as to why.
yeah, so the reavers were garrisoned in the shipwreck,
Yeah,
and I really wanted it off the map because it could deal quite a lot of damage
right,
because they could just stand there and shoot everything that they could see.
right.
Which meant it was very dangerous for my smaller leaders survive. So I took the first turn. Um, I teleported using the bridge,
Yeah,
and I shot I shot them off. The reavers, I killed them off, and Unfortunately, the Storm Fiends were left standing there, waiting for the double turn to happen. Uh,
Yeah, and he got it right.
yeah, he got it. And then I ran my rats towards the left again, much like the first game with JL. I left them to die and take the objectives for a turn or two, hopefully, getting more points. And they did,
Yes.
thankfully. And I went again to to the right with the Warbringer and the Storm Vermin. And
Right.
I forgot about the Kinurai Heartrenders. So,
Yeah.
so the thing with the battle plan Savage Gains is that you have to get the objective on your opponent's side of the territory, opponent's side of the map, and score 4 points. So I left it open.
Yeah.
He was just able to take it
Yep.
hassle free with the Kinurai Heartrenders. Uh,
Dude.
so
Yeah.
yeah, sorry.
So what I think is very interesting is, and this is where I wanted to know what's going through your mind, because maybe the tournament was okay. Sorry, you technically won and you're the champion, so I'm not questioning your decisions, but I want to know like what's in your mind. This was the only game I saw you throw the Storm Fiends out front and center, where everything could charge at the same time. What was going through your head?
So
No screens at all this time.
yeah, they were Mystic shielded up. So the thing with the with all this list is that he doesn't have like a much of a spell denial, which meant I had the run of the house in terms of casting the spells. So they were
Right.
Mystic shielded, and I could basically just and he didn't have monsters, so he couldn't roar me or anything. So I can like use all out defense or anything or something
Right.
to add to the defense. So I felt like they could survive any charges that he could make.
Okay.
And they proved uh, they proved me right though. They survived for quite a bit. for
Right.
um, so yeah, I think that's it. I just really wanted some of his shooting down
Right.
in the
And
first
then
round.
the round after that, I noticed that you retreated so that you could rally them at the bottom of the turn, which was his
hmm
turn. And
Yeah,
then
so
you rallied two Storm Fiends back.
yeah, so that was
Gross.
a weird choice for me because so I had this problem of the Kinerai Heartrenders being in my back line and just controlling my objectives, giving Ollie 4 points at will.
Yep.
Uh, I wanted to contest it, but I also wanted to kill everything that was in front of the Storm Fiends. I think there was like four Storm Fiends left, or three, maybe, if I
There were
recall
four left.
correctly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so there were four left, and my Warbringer was really close to all the other units, and I could maybe try and delete them all. But um, maybe that wasn't the best of ideas. Maybe I should have just maybe tried and killed everything because it was just the round two, right? Which meant IDK didn't have the strike first ability yet,
Uh,
which was pretty scary.
yeah.
Um,
Well, a decision you made that I wasn't sure of if I agreed or disagreed with
hmm,
was the turn that you rallied the Storm Fiends. You had one command point left after that, and you
yeah,
chose to redeploy into your objective instead of saving for the Unleash Hell. What was
yeah,
going through your mind when that happened?
yeah. That was definitely a misplay.
Oh, okay. I'm just checking.
Uh, yeah. I think I miscounted like my command points, or maybe I was um really I don't know. I think I got redeploy happy in that
Yeah.
game.
Also, you can't
Um,
redeploy and unleash hell in the same turn for people in the audience.
yeah, so whew, yeah,
Yeah.
that was a misplay. I should have kept it for Unleash Hell, or at least the threat of an Unleash Hell to prevent him from charging. I
Yeah.
just so my thought process there was I didn't want him to get um the objective, the 4 point objective. But then again, I kind of I didn't remember that he had the strike first ability.
Ouch.
So for some reason, that was in my mind during the second turn, but then it went out the window during the third
Yeah.
one. So
So so being the
that
head
was
TO,
brutal.
I had to go around two tables. Okay. I had to watch Miguel versus Jan Michael and Ollie versus Dennis more than others at that point because
Yeah.
at that point, whoever was if Miguel had won, then he was in the running for being to be the champion if Dennis lost. If Jan Michael won, Dennis would have been safe. And
Right.
if Ollie won, he unfortunately would get best order. So what happened that was very interesting was I turned around after watching round three and I saw Kragnos flatten the Maw Crusher by charging and
Oh,
dealing 20 wounds. And I turned
ooh.
around from that and I see the Storm Fiends are gone because like Ollie flattened them with two Achillean Kings.
Yeah. Yeah. So the moment I redeployed, something clicked in Ollie's mind, and he said, "Oh, wala ka na CP."
Oh,
He's,
damn.
he really said that. And his eyebrows went up and said, "Oh, wala ka na CP."
Oh my
And
god.
so I
Yeah,
realized, oh shit, I'm
that was
in big
brutal.
trouble. Yeah.
Oh
So
no.
he charged with everything, and he killed my storm fiends, and
Ollie.
um,
Oh my god.
yeah,
Ollie.
that was really hard.
Yeah, no, Ollie's a masterclass in being contribida, I swear to God. He was such a great final fight, I think. It was
Yeah,
there was so much tension
that
for
was
your
awesome.
game.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay,
So
so
at that
yeah,
point, I felt that I had already lost the game because
yeah,
obviously the storm fiends were the largest part of my army, and he still had almost everything. Well, not almost everything. He still had Volturnos and the sharks, and
yep.
I think some of the eels. I
He
think that
had
was just
one eel
one
left,
eel.
which
Yeah,
the
yeah.
storm
Which
vermin
will come
killed.
into play later. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
sorry, yeah. And then turn four happens. Oh, sorry. This
right.
was top of turn four. He
Hmm.
charges your Storm Fiend with an Achillean King and the
Right.
Eels. He no longer has strike first, but he does win priority for turn four. That's what I'm
Yeah.
basically hinting at. And
Hmm.
that, how did you feel from there?
Okay, my so what I had left was the clan rats, I think. Yeah, the clan rats, my warbringer, which charged the thralls the previous turn and killed them off, giving me the objective, I think. And then I had the storm vermin left, which charged something down below, I think. Yeah, but they were far from the warbringer, but they were pretty near the no hole, so that will come into play later. So
Right.
during Ollie's turn, he picked broken ranks, choosing the 10-unit storm vermin. Or I think that was seven of them already left.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that was seven. Yeah, and he charged the sharks into the clan rats,
Yeah.
removing my control of his objective.
Hmm.
And then he charged with Volturnus and the eel with one wound left onto the storm vermin.
Oh my
Uh,
god. Yeah.
and he had first pick of who to choose, which one to choose to fight. And he chose Volturnus.
Right.
And the Volturnus, sorry, wasn't buffed up or anything. So he managed to kill almost all of my storm vermin, leaving me with one
Yeah.
for his last melee profile, which had no
Yeah.
rend. Yeah,
Oh
so
my god.
it was a very fortunate roll because he was only able to wound once, and
That was enough.
I had to save on a four, which I did. And what I did was this lone storm vermin. I killed off the eel on one wound, preventing him from getting the um, battle tactic, as well as denying him his grand strat.
Oh man, that was so stressful to watch, by the way.
Oh yeah, that was
That was
I was
ridiculous. And
sweating all over it.
oh no, it was insane. Um, at that point, were you cognizant of the fact that he had no battle line left?
Sorry.
Or was that something that only occurred to you after the game?
That was something that only occurred to me after the game.
All right.
So at that
Because
point, I just wanted my storm vermin to survive,
uh-huh.
and maybe do a battle tactic or two, a battle tactic later,
Dude,
which I tried to do, but I don't think I succeeded there.
you did. Or
I
for the
did.
record, you did.
Okay.
You did
Okay.
Savage Spearhead.
Right.
But
Right. Right.
first of all, when that Stormfiend killed that last battle line unit, I was screaming inside and I wanted to say so many things. I wanted to say that basically tipped the scales of the game back into like you were sort of in the driver like head to head now as opposed to him being in the driver's seat.
Right.
When that one die roll, when I saw you save and him fail that save, uh, dude, the fanboy in me was screaming. This was a game of fucking Warhammer, man.
Yeah.
It was
So
so
basically,
dumb. Oh my god, it was so good.
I
Okay,
had
and then
two
yeah.
attacks for the Storm Vermin of threes and
Oh god.
threes, which was like it was a very low chance of me succeeding on him on a 4+ too.
Oh my
So
god. Fucking hell, dude, that was insane. The next turn, you go for Savage Spearhead, you teleport the Storm Feet Vermin onto the other
yeah,
side to get to the
yeah,
territory, and then you had to make a charge at half charge, and you
right.
made the charge. That was
Hmm.
crazy.
Yep.
So, so basically, you at that point you were behind by so you were at 20 31 you were at 23 and he was effectively at 28. You needed
Right.
to get 5 points. So it's
Right.
either you score a battle tactic and you get the hold the line, which means you just do nothing, or you get the 4 points and you hold the line.
Right.
But in this case, it was very hard because you already used Conquer and you didn't have shit to do anymore at this point.
Yeah.
You already used Monsters Takeover, so you were all, and you only had 2 units. You couldn't do Ferocious Advance. You were out of passive battle tactics. What was
Right.
going through your fucking mind, dude?
So something clicked in my mind when I saw that the Storm Vermin was alive, and I said, "Shit, I could do Savage Spearhead. I could just teleport that no,
That was
that Storm Vermin through the no hole, and maybe try and charge the Tidecaster on the ship, and
right.
pile in after, so I could squeeze in my no my Vermin Lord, hope to be within the enemy territory. Um, and
Oh my god.
I also had to kill the Tidecaster because there were two sharks, which meant they were also contesting on a 5 model count there.
They have two
Um,
each, so they had 6 and you had 5.
oh yeah. He had 5. Yeah, he had 6.
You
Right.
had
So
6, yeah.
actually, I miscounted that one. So which worked out for me. Um,
Okay, I'm sure. All right.
uh, so I charged the Tidecaster, which had cover and ward, and I cast Flaming Weapon and Arcane Tome, and I threw everything out the window and went all out offense on it. I went also did Stomp, which in retrospect I should have gone like um, Roar or something, which meant he would save on a
Mhm.
yeah,
Okay. Stump wasn't wrong. Okay, I'm
right,
dying to know something because there was a
yeah,
part of me that wanted to scream at you when that game was happening. Did you remember you had Arcane Bolt on your Vermin
yeah,
Lord?
yep. There
Okay,
was
good.
still Arcane Bolt, and I was planning on
Oh my
using
god.
it as final as a last resort.
Sort, yeah.
Yeah, during the battle shock phase, if I didn't kill
Okay, good.
the
My
yeah,
god.
the,
If the game had ended, you had an Arcane Bolt and you forgot about it, and
yeah.
he was down to 1 wound, I would have fucking slapped you then and there. I would have assaulted you, your wife would have gotten mad, I would have been taken away from the cops, and you would be right to take me away, but it would be worth it. My god. Oh, it was such a
So yeah,
stressful sequence to watch.
yeah.
Oh
So
my god.
it went even crazier than it did uh, during the Storm Vermin encounter, right? So during when the Warbringer attacked Tidecaster, it actually went down to the very last roll
It
because
did.
Ollie was rolling hot with all the saves and all the wards. I was
Yeah.
doing like 1 damage or something to it. Yeah, so I basically got it to like 1 wound on my very last attack, which was still doing like pretty good. It was twos and twos with like yeah,
Yeah. With 3 rend.
yeah, with 3 rend on a 3 damage with a possible 6. So I didn't get to do the 6 damage. I don't think.
Yeah,
Yeah,
no, you
no.
didn't. Okay. So
Um So I got like he saved one, which meant he had to ward save three damage, and he
Dude,
was like on his last wound. So
turn
he saved one with a ward, and that I managed to deal two more damage to the Tidecaster to seal the game basically at that point.
Dude, did you weird question also. Did you
Yeah.
plan to ascend to grand champion in the final minute of the tournament? Because that
No,
last
man.
bottom of four was like, boys, you have like 30 seconds to finish this turn. If you don't kill this Tidecaster in 30 seconds, the
Oh
game's
man.
over.
No, no, no. That was very nerve-wracking for me. At that point, well, at the start of the round, Ollie and I were talking. We basically wanted a chill game, but uh,
Dude,
that was not going to happen with like
no.
the championship on the line,
No.
unfortunately. And we
No,
were
no.
both. He was playing really great,
No,
really
Ollie
good
played
Warhammer.
fantastic.
So,
Ollie played
um,
so fantastic that
yeah,
day.
yeah. I basically it all went down to just like the very last moments for me to seal the game. Um, Otherwise, I didn't have a chance to win. So,
Dude, I also felt that you guys, the two of you, had a long talk at the start of the round.
right.
Like it was like 30 minutes in, and you guys hadn't
Hmm.
started yet. I was getting nervous,
Hmm.
but I also thought you guys would finish way before time because you guys were familiar with each other's armies already.
Right,
You
right,
yourself knowing a lot about Idenef Deepkin at this
right.
point.
And we also played during the Warhammer Day. I
Exactly.
also I also fielded the same army, almost the same army. He he beat me then.
Hmm.
Um, so I pretty much had that one was a different list. It had like
That is
the Eidolon, but this
that
one was more killy, if I should say, if I should say so myself.
dude.
Um,
That was such a
so
flex. Like it's saying, "Oh, I played with him on Warhammer Day, and he beat me then," and then you just trade off. That
no,
is such a flex. I know you probably didn't mean it, but goddamn, that is some
sorry if
anime writing shit.
it came off the wrong way. I'm sorry,
No,
but
no, no, no. That no, no. Okay, dude. Ollie's a good sport. Ollie is such a good player.
yep,
And
yeah,
he is
yeah,
like a shark, man. He saw blood in the water. Everything will tear at you, and you saw that. He's the only one to kill your storm fiends, right?
yeah, yeah. I told him, dude, ikaw lang nakapatay ng Storm Fiends ka out of all the games we played.
Yeah. And although he wasn't in the running for grand champion, looking at all the lists, I'd say that correct me if I'm wrong. I feel that Idonet Deepkin and Iron Jaws were probably your hardest matchups for this
Yeah,
tournament.
yeah, definitely. I honestly don't know if choosing the first turn in this game was the right idea for me. We've I don't know what was running through my head, but uh,
Um,
in retrospect, I don't think it was the best idea. I think I got too scared of the Reavers, but I should have been scared of all the other things instead.
um,
Uh,
I don't really know what the right thing to do is because I've never played an army like yours, and I don't
right,
want to like. I think I can maybe prescribe micro decisions, but
right.
I'm not very good at the macro level of your
Hmm.
army because
Hmm.
you know your army
Yeah,
best.
me neither.
Um,
Okay. Yeah.
But I think that you took risks. Those risks just so happened to pay off in this
Hmm.
game. Maybe it
Yeah.
won't pay off in a different game, but it paid off in this game.
Yeah.
So it's interesting. We could probably talk forever about what other things could have happened, but what happened was you won that game. The score was 28 to 31.
That's so close. That was
It
like
was insane. It was so
grand
insane.
strategy kind of win.
It was straight up a grand strategy win because Ollie had scored all his battle tactics. And if you had
Oh
tied and not
man.
scored the battle tactics, the minor win would have gone to him.
Right.
On the other hand, you would have also still stayed grand champion if you had a draw, which
Right.
would have probably taken a bit more time to think about. In fact, yeah, time was against you, the clock was against you. Like it was your game to lose, or it was your tournament title to lose. So I'm
Right.
pretty sure there was so much pressure riding on you then.
Yeah, and by that time, all the other games were done. So
Yeah.
almost all of the players were watching. So that added to the pressure as well.
But yeah, but what I loved was I got to do a sports kind like thing where we are down to the last 3 minutes. I was basically shushing everyone, and I said, "Okay, guys, I it, in my mind I was like, this, and this needs to happen for Dennis to win. This, and this not happening means Dennis loses." So that was really interesting for me. I had such a great time refereeing that fight. Jesus Christ, you guys know how to put on a show.
Yeah, kudos to Ollie.
Yeah, no, so with that, Dennis ascended to grand champion. Basa was took best order. Vincent Estampador took the best destruction. And there were two destruction players ahead of him, but I'll get to them later. Um, Carlo got best chaos with the bastard children of chaos. And then uh, John Michael, as I mentioned earlier, got the best painted, scoring an almost perfect score. With a rubric that we made. Um, R1 got best in sportsmanship and also third place in the whole tournament with Cities of Sigmar. Very, very interesting build. I would have wanted to see a match between the two of you as well.
Right.
Um, and Miguel Alegre got runner up with Sons of Behemoth. One final goodbye to them before the next season comes in, and you managed to win Grand Champion once again. Before we end the stream, I guess. Congratulations, man.
Thank you.
Okay, but before we go, I would like to ask a quick question. What, where do you see yourself going from here? Do you see yourself switching over to a different build, or maybe for the GT, are you still going to try practicing with Storm Fiends given the new meta and such?
Mm. So for the GT, I might try and change some things up, but
Ooh.
maybe still going with the Storm Fiends. Um, the fact that, or maybe because I haven't tried the new GHB yet. Let's see if the GHB shakes things up for the Storm Fiends. But given that we're a shooting army and the primary goal is to kill everything, it might still have a chance in the new
Um,
GHB.
I think that there are some battle tactics that you will have an easier time scoring with the Storm Fiend build
Right.
because there are some that require like since Storm Fiends are not Galician veterans.
Nope, they are not.
Never mind. Okay, I take that back. There's one battle tactic that there a lot of the battle tactics are kill battle tactics.
Right.
They in order to make sure that you and your opponent duke it out in an earnest way, the new GHB focuses a lot on kill battle tactics and they scale
Mm,
down the flexibility of the passive battle tactics.
right.
So it's gonna be a new game to learn. The pacing is very different. I think
Yeah.
this one's a lot faster.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
I'll still have to test it out. We still have like 2 months, maybe. Yeah.
we have
Uh,
2 months. I am actually excited to see and get talk to you in the future. Pick your brain on what you
right.
what it's like. There are some battle tactics I think are basically built for Skaven. One of the things that me and my friends really learned about the new JHB is that we were forced to learn the battle tactics of our book.
Right. Mm, okay. Okay.
And I don't know the battle tactics of your book, but maybe you'll have to brush up on that too.
Yeah. I honestly just glossed over the battle tactics of my book because.
Yeah. I think they were trying to, in the first season, the battle tactics were very accessible. In this season, though, everyone who has good battle tactics in their books have a slight
Yeah.
advantage.
So there are some weird ones in the new book, like heal a rat ogre to full health or some weird shit like that.
Is a
Uh,
Stormfiend the Rat Ogre?
no, they're not.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
So
It's so weird. Like,
um,
just weird.
yeah,
Anyways,
there are a few things that I'm really excited about the new
yeah,
GHB, and that's the spells. I'm not talking about Purple Sun, although maybe I'm going to field it as well because
you dick. Sorry, okay, it's just a reflex at this point.
yeah,
Whenever someone says, "Oh, I got a purple," you dick. Like that's
it's
basically
fine.
what I
It's
say at this point.
fine. Because the Skaven have Thanquol, who is one of the best
Oh my god,
casters in the game.
plus 3 to casting is so
He has
stupid.
+3, and if he's beside the no-hole, that's a +4.
Does he have
And he
plus 3 to
has
unbind?
yes,
Oh, that's so big. How
unbinding,
about Dispel?
yes,
Oh
everything.
my
Yeah,
god, that's so good.
yeah, that's so good. Yeah, and he has this War Scroll ability that you can cast something on a 3d6 instead of a 2d6. On a 13, you can't unbind it.
Is that a once per game thing?
Nope, it's a once per turn thing.
What the? How many spells can he cast?
He can cast two, but
I'm
that
gonna hate
guarantees
fighting
me.
you.
But that basically guarantees me any endless spell that I want to cast. So
Pretty much. No,
yeah,
absolutely. That's
and that
so
includes
nutty.
like the um Lochon, the Soul Seeker, which is started as like Thanquol's skateboard.
Skateboard, Thankwall skateboard. Yes, I heard that too. It is Thankwall skateboard. I cannot wait to see it. You have all the endless spells, don't you?
Yeah, I do.
Oh God, you're such a monster. Okay, I see it. Okay, I see it. I see it.
Yeah,
I am
so they
so
really,
excited to see what you
yeah,
bring.
yeah. So
Oh
I'm
my
thinking of
God,
basically doing like a mix of whatever list I have right now with say Thankwol and hope it pans out.
bro. Before we end the stream tonight, do you want to shout out anyone, or do you have a message you'd like to share? And do you have any questions for us or the audience? I guess, or not the audience,
Yeah,
but like you have a question for like us.
oh, sure. Yeah, so I think my family's watching right now. So hi, hope you enjoyed the me nerding out uh, about the games I played last weekend. So
You,
uh, and to all the players who participated in the Wartilyo tournament, um, you guys are awesome. Let's keep playing. Um, hoping to see you guys in future tournaments
yeah,
and to the Wartilio team, of course. Thanks for organizing the event. That was so much fun. I don't think I've had that much fun in such a long time. Um,
glad to hear it.
and yeah, everything was professionally done. There was coverage and there were sponsors and the people all around were just good natured, really easy to talk to. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Yella is in the chat saying, "Congrats,
Oh.
hubby," with a heart and everything.
Aw.
Um,
Thanks.
yeah, to Dennis's family, he just started this year, and you should be very proud. A lot of people in other countries try to do a five rounder, and they don't really make it. He picked the game up pretty fast. He's playing an army that takes a lot of brain power to play, and he made it. Yeah, and I think everyone in the community and your family should be very proud of you.
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, dude. So, oh yeah, question from JP is: any tips for players playing in the GT from the current grand champion of the Wartilio series?
Okay, any tips? Uh, I guess know your army well. Um, so you might miss some triggers, and it will definitely feel terrible if you do, because I actually experienced that one. But you know, know know the threats of the other army as well. So when you're introducing the armies, so yeah, that's one of my favorite parts during the tournament was when the people were introducing their lists and there was this and they're talking about the combos that could happen and the other players going, oh shit, what, like doing lots of damage with Archaon or something. Yeah, so
Yeah.
that was fun. Yeah. Also, I guess let people play. There were some instances that, of course, it's a tournament, but some things you can just talk about first with the other player. See if you can work something out. Yeah.
Well, wait, that sounds really sketchy and ambiguous. You probably have to explain that
Okay.
part.
So sorry. So like
Sorry, go.
yeah, I guess yeah, I guess so. So like in talking like for example, if you talk with the other player, what do we do when we miss triggers, or do we go back, or like is that okay? Um, um, yeah. So like small things like that that shouldn't feel
Right.
like weird when it happens without talk with you talking in advance, right? So
Very well. Very good advice.
yeah, and that's
Oh,
something that I will strive to do in my future games because I wasn't able to do so in the tourney. So
okay. But all right. I think that is all the time that we have for today. Dennis, thank you so much for taking the time out to
right,
join us. Thank you to
thank
the
you.
audience for watching. For those who joined the Wartilio tournament, for all our sponsors, thank you as well for making it a great success. We hope to be able to do more for you guys, the audience. We want to do more events, even not tournaments, like hobby hangouts, narrative stuff,
Yes, please.
casual game. Wait. Yes, please to what? Narrative stuff
Like
or hobby
more
hangouts?
stuff.
Yeah. So the Wartilyo team is just resting now. In fact, I might have come down with a cold, but I
Yeah,
think that
yeah, you rest
um,
well, man.
thank you so much, and I hope that I'm just glad everyone seemed to enjoy it, and the team is so in love with the idea of it. We want to get more people to play Age of Sigmar. Thank you so much for joining me, and thank you so much for being such an awesome dude, man.
Thank you.
All right. So with that, we are now going to end the thing. Patrick, let's transition to the next scene. Thank you
Bye,
very much,
guys.
everyone.
Thank you.
Good night.